to him in a dream. But when he woke up, the bruises, they were real. He said he could only ask 2 questions, only 2. A third would bring him death.
Dear David, you asked 3.
Well, he didn't listen.
For a while, he just stared at me, but then he got out of the chair and started shambling toward the bed.
What started out as a simple Twitter thread quickly became something else entirely. It was the summer of 2017. Adam Ellis, a BuzzFeed illustrator, casually opened Twitter and began to share a story. Little did he know, the entire world would soon be watching. Tweet by tweet, Adam documented events that became increasingly impossible to dismiss. This wasn't just any haunting. This was unfolding live. Real-time tweets that was documenting encounters with a ghost. But this was no ordinary ghost. It was a child with a deformed, dented head. A child that Adam would come to know as Dear David. Was Adam Ellis creating elaborate performance art, or were these actual desperate pleas for help? Well, tonight we trace the digital footprints of a ghost named David. Let's retrace the echoes, if you dare. It began in the summer of 2017. Adam Ellis, a BuzzFeed illustrator living in New York, he first experienced something unsettling. A dream that felt, unusually vivid. It was unlike any other ordinary dream. It was vivid enough to leave a lingering impression that blurred the lines between sleep and wakefulness. Now, in his dream, Adam found himself immobilized in bed, eyes fixated towards the dimly lit corner of his room. Sitting silently in a green rocking chair was a child, white. He was extremely pale and small, with a head that was disturbingly misshapen, dented on one side as though badly injured. The child began moving slowly, deliberately towards Adam, each step echoing faintly in the surreal silence of the dreamscape. Adam felt compelled to speak, despite an overwhelming sense of dread that was gripping him. 1,000 questions rushed through his mind, but he could only focus on one chilling thought. Was this child, this apparition, did it have a story?
Then, David came back in another dream. Same situation. I was in bed and he was sitting in the rocking chair near the window staring at me. In the dream, I say, "Dear David, how did you die?" He mumbles, "An accident in a store." I say, "Dear David, what happened in the store?" He groans, "A shelf was pushed on my head."
A chill surged through Adam, panic tightening his chest. Without consciously deciding, the words escaped his lips. A question driven by morbid curiosity.
I'm frozen with fear. I ask, "Who pushed the shelf?" David doesn't answer. I realize that I've asked a third question, which I'm not supposed to do. At that point, I wake up absolutely terrified.
Heart racing, sweat drenching his sheets. He looked around his room desperately, finding only shadows, yet unable to shake the overwhelming sense of dread. But the fear? It didn't dissolve with the daylight. It bled into his waking life, taking root in reality.
But lately, something strange is happening. For the past 4 nights, my cats gather at the front door at exactly midnight and just stare at it, almost like something is on the other side.
Subtle yet unmistakable events began to unfold. We're talking about household objects, plants and chairs and trinkets shifted slightly out of place. Each occurrence subtle enough to dismiss as just pure imagination, yet persistent enough to gnaw at his very sanity. The most alarming of all was the green rocking chair, the same one from his vivid dream. It began moving entirely on its own. The boundary between Adam's nightmare and reality, it began to dissolve. Dear David was no longer just a figment of dreams. He was intruding into Adam's everyday life, manifesting with increasing strength and clarity. Yet the horror that Adam would face, it was only just the beginning. See, the true terror, it was yet to unfold. Driven by mounting dread and an urgent need to understand, Adam began to meticulously document every unsettling occurrence. His initial curiosity, it was quickly eclipsed by persistent gnawing anxiety. Each moment, all he would hope for is just answers. But every single discovery, it only plagued him deeper into uncertainty. Adam first shared videos of his cats online, hoping to validate his unease. Night after night, precisely at midnight, the cats gathered nervously by the apartment door, their eyes wide with fear, fur raised, meowing loudly, pawing and scratching frantically, as if desperate to reach something unseen just beyond the threshold. His followers, initially skeptical, soon became engrossed, watching closely for further evidence. Then came the photographs. At first glance, they appear unremarkable. Just ordinary images of dim hallways and quiet rooms. However, upon closer examination, an unsettling pattern emerged. In one particular photo, taken in a darkened hallway of his apartment, a faint, shadowy figure stood barely visible at the far end. You see, the images sparked intense online speculation. Followers quickly enhanced the brightness and circled the eerie silhouette, revealing with increasing clarity the unmistakable outline of a small child, standing silent, motionless, just watching. Disturbed yet determined to uncover the truth, Adam turned to a sleep recording app, hoping to capture some proof of what was occurring while he slept. The results? They were deeply troubling. Recordings filled with faint voices, indistinctive, unsettling whispers, and the quiet, insidious sound of footsteps shuffling across his bedroom floor. As the nights grew more restless, sleep became increasingly difficult, and Adam resorted to leaving every light on his apartment on, desperate to ward off any kind of mysterious presence. Still, he bravely continued to share updates online. Amongst those were selfies. They looked normal at first, but soon, his followers, they recognized something that was deeply disturbing. Adam, overwhelmed by relentless fear and exhaustion, decided his only option was to leave his apartment. He believed that relocating it might free him from this escalating terror. Initially hopeful, he moved into a new home. Yet tragically, his reprieve was short-lived. See, the haunting intensified, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that dear David, he was not bound to a place, but rather to Adam himself. In a desperate attempt to reclaim any type of normal life, Adam began to capture countless Polaroid images of his new apartment, each one developing quickly into a reassuring mundane snapshot, except for a single disturbing exception. This eerie photograph became a critical turning point. It symbolized the undeniable truth that Adam had long feared, that whatever this was that was tormenting him, it wasn't merely his imagination. It wasn't even a series of coincidences, but something tangible, something malevolent, and something profoundly unexplainable. The careful documentation Adam intended as just proof was transformed into undeniable evidence, magnifying the paranoia and deepening the mystery. Dear David was no longer confined to Adam's dreams. He'd become something darker, something more relentless and disturbingly real. As days turned into weeks, Adam's online updates, they took a darker turn. His tweets became sporadic, confused, and deeply unsettling. Followers noticed a disturbing shift in his demeanor. His previous coherent updates were now filled with anxiety, paranoia, and unexplained fear. His once clear explanations, they devolved into fragments of distress. Adam began experiencing alarming blackouts. He would wake up disoriented, panicked, and unable to account for significant portions of his night. Even more troubling, mysterious bruises began to appear on his body, deepening his fear and his confusion. With no recollection of how these injuries occurred, Adam was constantly left in a perpetual state of anxiety and dread. Desperate for answers and increasingly fearful of his own safety, Adam installed security cameras throughout his entire apartment. His intentions was simple: to capture proof of whatever was haunting him. However, The evidence that he found was profoundly disturbing, revealing a reality more sinister than he could have ever imagined. The footage showed Adam in a state of sleepwalking, something entirely new and disturbing to him. His movements, they run natural, mechanical, almost as though he was under someone else's control. Followers online, they began to speculate wildly. Their concern and fascination was growing with each and every update. Then on one evening, Adam uploaded a video online that shook his followers to their very core. The clip depicted the green rocking chair, the very chair from his initial nightmare, rocking violently and uncontrollably, seemingly manipulated by an invisible force filled with rage. Yet, as alarming as it was, it paled in comparison to what came next. Adam shared an image, chillingly clear, an unmistakable photograph of dear David, fully materialized, standing motionless and silent in the dimly lit hallway. The figure's misshapen head, hollow eyes, and unnatural stillness captivated and horrified thousands. There was no room left for doubt or denial. After posting these chilling revelations, Adam's online interactions, they abruptly changed. His final tweets, they took on a very disturbing calm, yet they were oddly detached, almost as though he was accepting whatever was about to happen to him. Followers, they read these messages with growing dread, sensing something had gone terribly wrong. And then, complete silence. Adam ceased all communication, leaving his followers hanging in the void of unanswered questions and haunting theories. Adam's silence had echoed profoundly, louder and more unnerving than any update he had ever posted. See, the ultimate fate of Adam, the true nature of dear David, and the reality of the disturbing phenomena remained hidden, wrapped tightly in layers of unsettling mystery and chilling uncertainty. What became of Adam Ellis? Did he finally succumb to the forces that he feared so deeply? Or did he simply vanish, leaving behind only digital footprints of his harrowing encounter? The silence continues, and with it, the haunting mystery remains. Now, with Adam's story captivating millions, it's easy for there to be skeptics, and in an effort to understand the phenomena behind dear David in a more skeptical point of view, we have to dig into some theories proposed by those that think they can explain what was happening with the haunting. Next to that, I'm going to provide a detailed counter-argument for those who firmly believe that Adam's experiences, well, they believe they was genuine and supernatural. First, of course, we're going to consider the performance art theory. I think this is where most skeptics would fall into. Skeptics supporting this will oftentimes talk about Adam's professional background. He was a talented illustrator and he was a storyteller for BuzzFeed, a company known for crafting engaging narratives. Now, they argue that each tweet was meticulously planned and intentionally dramatic, a calculated sequence designed specifically for maximum online attention and also for virality. Now, according to their perspective, Adam's narrative, images, and video documentation were part of a much more deliberate artistic expression rather than an authentic paranormal activity. Now, the believers, they're going to fight that. They're going to say, no, if you look at his posts, they were all sporadic. It's evident in his posts that he was also scared. For them, there's no room for doubting. They truly believe that he was scared. He had even moved. Why would he move just randomly? To them, that doesn't make any sense. Now, next, we're going to talk about the digital hoax theory. Now, the people that believe that there was definitely this going on, they firmly insist that Adam likely manipulated the evidence using software like Photoshop. His whole entire goal was to try to create an eerie and a convincing visual phenomena. Now, they always point to the shadowy figures and the unexplainable images and the unsettling events captured in photo and video, suggesting that they were digitally enhanced and entirely fabricated for the purposes of generating some type of online excitement. They say that none of it was true. Now, on the other side of the coin, there's the believers that argue against this completely. What they say is, you have to understand, Adam was doing a lot of this immediately. He was live posting the events as they was occurring. Add to that, there was the third-party applications that he was using. You can't single-handedly change and manipulate those things to fit this type of hoax theory. To them, this is just another valid excuse. Now, finally, the last thing we're going to talk about is the psychological explanation theory. What this says is that it can all be answered very easily in the realm of sleep paralysis, vivid nightmares, and anxiety-inducing hallucinations. Skeptics will oftentimes say, when you look at sleep paralysis or even high levels of anxiety, it can create these hallucinations and sometimes in a form of nightmare. And when you sprinkle in sleep paralysis, it's easy to induce all of the things that Adam was experiencing. They say that there's no way that this is paranormal in any type of thought process. As for the believers, they talk about, well, that's all great and good and it's possible, but how do you explain the photographic and video evidence? I mean, we're talking about Adam reporting the documentation of real bruising that was appearing on his body. On top of that, there's the photos that when you increase the brightness of the photos, you can see things that just don't belong. Supporters of Adam's story argue that these physical and visual manifestations, they defy simple categorizing anything as just a hallucination, or for that much, any type of anxiety-driven delusions. For them, that's all the proof they need. Now, considering all the evidence and the arguments, where does the truth ultimately lie? Well, was Dear John merely just a psychological manifestation? Possibly a cleverly orchestrated hoax, or a genuine encounter with the paranormal? Of course, the debate continues, leaving truth shrouded in the mystery. Now, of course, beyond these mainstream explanations lie fringe theories. Now, this is oftentimes more chilling than any of the other possibilities. There's first the time slip theory. Could Adam have briefly experienced moments of past events that overlapped with his present reality? Now, according to this theory, Dear David, it could have just been a residual echo from the past, momentarily interacting with Adam's present-day world. Next is the psychic projection theory. Now, some propose that Adam, under extreme stress or subconscious emotional turmoil, unknowingly projected his fears outward, manifesting them physically and visually. This could explain both Adam's genuine fear and tangible evidence that was recorded. Lastly, we have the internet entity theory. Now, this is a relatively new theory that, with the coming of the age, has kind of approached some of the online comments. With billions of digital interactions happening daily, could an entity have emerged purely from the vast and collective digital consciousness? Now, follow me on this. Perhaps Dear David was born entirely from the internet itself, feeding off online fear and fascination. Think about it. Demons will oftentimes supposedly feed off of children, their collective fear of one person. But what if the internet is manifesting all of these fears combined? Now, while these fringe theories push the boundaries of conventional understanding, they continue to intrigue and disturb those who delve into the mysteries of Dear David. Tonight, we've retraced the chilling events surrounding Adam Ellis and his haunting encounter with Dear David. We've explored theories ranging from skeptical analysis of performance art and digital hoaxes to psychological phenomena like sleep paralysis and anxiety-inducing hallucinations. We've also ventured into speculative territory, considering things like time slips, psychic projections, and even the emergence of internet-based entities. Now, each theory, each perspective, they oftentimes leave a little bit of insight, but these insights also provide unanswered questions. Now, the evidence that Adam presented, erratic posts, Tangible bruises, unexplainable photographs, and unsettling videos, they challenge simple explanations. Was Adam possibly just a clever storyteller, capturing the internet's attention, a victim of his own subconscious fears? Or was he truly confronting something beyond his understanding? The story of Dear David taps into universal fears, the unknown, the unseen, and the unexplainable. Now, it's only fair to mention that Adam has popped back up in the last few years. In fact, there was a movie that was made on this exact story in 2023. I'll leave the name of the story or the movie down below from the story in the description down below. While you're there, if you could give me a thumbs up, and also if you could subscribe if you've not subscribed yet. But the reason I want to tell this story is the story of Dear David taps into all of our universal fears. I mean, I'm talking about the fear of the unknown, the unseen, and the unexplainable. It reminds us how easily the boundaries between reality and perception can be blurred, especially in an age where digital interactions is constant and reality is frequently questioned. Ultimately, was Dear David even real, or did our collective belief in him make him real? One thing's certain, when Adam stopped tweeting, the silence that followed was somehow louder. I want to thank you for joining me tonight. Until next time, remember, the echoes of the past, they never truly fade. They only wait to be retraced. Until I see you next time, goodbye.